What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, we are reacting to a particularly interesting turn of events, and there might not be any sort of legitimacy to this claim, but we're just reacting to the news of it. Destin Adams had tweeted out that Colin Cowherd just said on his show that he is predicting that the Indianapolis Colts will sign Sam Darnold this offseason. He says, I'd be shocked if they went that route, but I guess we will see. And this isn't just one person saying this, guys. I know that several different sites and betting sites and a few other places have some interesting odds on Sam Darnold ending up with the Indianapolis Colts as a potential landing spot. Now, Cody, this is to obviously insinuate that if the Minnesota Vikings are not going to give Sam Darnold a long-term contract, you did draft J.J. McCarthy this last draft process, and the long-term idea is for J.J. McCarthy to take over for this team going forward. But, I mean, how do you feel about Sam Darnold, and what do you feel like there is any legitimacy to the claims that the Indianapolis Colts might think about bringing Sam Darnold in?
I'll just say this. Colin Cowherd says a lot of crap that doesn't make any sense. And this is one of those things to me, Derek. He just says things, and he's just one of those talking media heads that, in my mind, Derek, it's like he just says something that just is not, I just don't think it makes a ton of sense for the team personally. So no, I don't think this is something, that the Colts would consider because number one, I don't foresee the Vikings moving on from Sam Darnold after the year that he had. I don't care if he had a bad playoff game. I mean, he still had a phenomenal season for them. So I don't see that being really a thing. And if he was, Derek, I mean, you're not signing him to be competition. You're signing him to be the guy, right? It's not going to be like a one-year rental type of thing, right? If you're committing to him, you're probably committing a multi-year type of thing to him, right? And this is a guy that's been around for a while and, has been on a bunch of different teams and has had some success and some failure, former, top draft pick. And we obviously know from the trade that the Colts made with the New York Jets back in 2018. So, yeah, for me, I just think this is more of a media, this would make sense on paper. But when you dive a little bit deeper into kind of where the Colts are, I just don't think it makes a lot of sense from, number one, you're going to have to probably invest a lot of money into this guy. And number two, it's going to be a multi-year thing. So also within that, are you giving up on Anthony Richardson? Right? Like what's the, so there's a lot of layers to, if you were to sign Sam Darnold, it wouldn't be for, a cheap amount. It would probably be trying to pay this guy one of the, I don't know if he'd be like a top quarterback, but
I think the number that a lot of people are bringing up is around the 30 million mark.
Right. Which I don't even know roughly where that is amongst other quarterbacks.
I don't think it's among the top of them, but it would be like, I think it'd be top 14, top 13 contract numbers.
So like when you're looking to add like competition, I don't view that as adding competition.
Right.
I view that as sending a message to Anthony Richardson that he's not our guy. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's not competition to me. That's not what the Colts have said they were going to do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, I could be completely wrong on this. And that could, if that does happen, again, we'll whatever. We'll admit we were wrong there. But I just don't see it logistically for where the Colts are, as a franchise with their, they still have a belief in Anthony Richardson as a talent standpoint. And, Chris Ballard, Shane Steichen, and all these guys, I mean, they're on their final leg. So is this something where they want to commit a multi-year type of commitment for potentially the new GM to clean up, if it doesn't work out, right? So I don't know. There's a lot of different reasons why, to me, this just doesn't make a lot of sense for the Colts. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or any points maybe you disagree on in favor of Sam Darnold, but to me, it just, all those reasons just make it very unlikely, in my opinion.
Well, logistically, I mean, you're right. The numbers themselves kind of make it a problem. Like, you're right. It's not going to be cheap to get Sam Darnold. And I mean, with as many holes as you have on this roster right now, there's an issue when it comes to that. Are you willing to spend half of your free agent budget to go and get a quarterback like a Sam Darnold? And I mean, I think from not even just from the logistics standpoint, Cody, but I mean, let's talk about what this move would mean for the Indianapolis Colts, right? So you said it already. If you sign Sam Darnold, you have given up faith on Anthony Richardson, because you're not going to let Anthony Richardson sit for 2, maybe 3 more years and then just pick things up from that point forward. You're not doing that, because Anthony Richardson at some point or another, regardless of whether or not you picked up his 5th-year option and you ended up, sitting him through the entirety of his rookie contract at that point, and you still had Sam Darnold, and then when Sam Darnold left, Anthony Richardson would take over. Who knows if Anthony Richardson would, one, be willing to, and second, is even capable at that point. Right, Cody? Like, the whole point of Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard's legitimacy with this team was staked on this decision. Anthony Richardson, you drafted him. That's where you put yourself, and that's what you said you wanted to do. And if Anthony Richardson is nowhere close, or if he's not able to actually be the quarterback going forward, then that ultimately says you don't deserve the job of GM and coach, because you guys were incapable of developing the quarterback that you chose to be the franchise. And regardless if you brought in Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold, took this team to 10 or 11 wins, and, you made the playoffs the 2 or 3 years that he was there, so what? At the end of that contract, are we really assuming that Sam Darnold is going to be the next great thing for the Indianapolis Colts to take us to the promised land, right? No, I would suggest not, because Sam Darnold could not have been put in a better situation than with the Minnesota Vikings, Cody. He got put in with one of the brightest young coaches in the game. He had some of the most elite weapons in the entire NFL on his team, and had a very good defense. That team, in spite of Sam Darnold at times late in the season, still won. How many games did they win? 14?
Yep.
They won 14 games. Do we expect that Sam Darnold, with this broken Colts roster and a broken culture, that Sam Darnold is going to be the option that is going to take this team to where we want it to go? No, because Sam Darnold is a quarterback that, if you felt confident that your team, from a structural standpoint, was very well put together, and you had the coach, but you were just looking for the right quarterback, then Sam Darnold would be your guy, right? Like, Sam Darnold would be the guy that a roster that's already well built, and a coach you like, and then you bring in a Sam Darnold into a good situation, Sam Darnold can thrive in that. But I don't think he thrives with this Indianapolis Colts team. And you're right. Ultimately, if you did do that, it still went to show you invested a 4th overall pick in a quarterback that you didn't even trust to win the starting job. Sam Darnold would come in and win it right off the bat, even if I don't think he's the quarterback of the future for this team. So, yeah, again, the legitimacy behind it, I don't think there's any real legitimacy. I think most of Colts Nation feels that same way. No doubt, I feel like Sam Darnold would come in and be a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson would right off the bat. But the problem is again, numbers-wise, it doesn't help your team in the long run. And second of all, it undermines everything that Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen have had to go through over the last few years, developing the quarterback of the future. And Anthony Richardson may or may not be that, but it has to be determined through him. If it's not, then you need to just wholesale everyone at that point.
Right. And I guess, Derek, even in like in a year, if you're in this situation, right, and Anthony Richardson still hadn't developed, and you were kind of more on like okay, we've given him 3 years, he hasn't done a whole lot. Like, I would even be more convinced there, if you're sitting here at the 14th pick or around that time where you can't get a pick, I would say I would consider it a lot more next year, because you've clearly said, I would assume you'd have a new coach and GM at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. You've staked, you're Chris Ballard, you're Shane Steichen, you ride or die with AR. That's what it has to be. That's what you've tied yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
But with the new GM, if this was a year from now, and this was a situation here, I'd be more inclined to listen to this, and I'd be more inclined to say this is more possible. But to me, I just look at it and I say it just doesn't make a lot of sense for where the current state of the team is right now, and the people who are running the show right now for the Colts and what they're trying to accomplish, right?
Yep.
And I guess there's any devil's advocate on the pro Sam Darnold thing. And I don't really think it has a lot of, legitimacy, but you think about it, okay, they're desperate to win. Go get a guy that just threw for over 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, right?
But you also have to wonder about the people he was throwing it to.
Exactly.
Right. And the system that they have. And obviously the Colts have weapons in some areas that could help, but yeah, I question, we don't have a wide receiver as good as Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison's is electric. And it's just, I don't even know if I trust Shane Steichen's offensive game plan better than Kevin McConnell's right now. So I question some of the legitimacy of it there too.
Yeah, no doubt. And, Sam Darnold had a great year last year. Don't get me wrong. But Derek, if you would have said this a season ago, we would have said no. Mm-hmm. No, that doesn't make any sense, right? He's had one good year of his career since 2018. If you honestly look at this, the 1 year he had with the Panthers, he still only completed 58% of his passes, 7 touchdowns and 3 picks. But again, he didn't play the whole season. The last time, Derek, that he has, thrown for over 2,000 yards was 2021 with Carolina, and he had almost like a under 72 quarterback rating, right? So let's not act like Sam Darnold has been this like stud his entire career. Now, of course, there's quarterbacks that, it clicks a little bit later on. So, that is kind of the other side of it. Could this just be the beginning for Sam Darnold? But yeah, it just right now I look at it and I say, are you willing to bet? This would be your reality for the next couple of years, right? And if you're looking to draft a quarterback next year, if you're the new GM, you might get hamstringed by this move, right? You might not have a lot of options there. And let's not, kind of looking at this again, like Sam Darnold's a good player, but Derek, let's not act like, just like we've talked about in the past with different, let's not act like we're just a certain quarterback away from being a legitimate contender, right? Like you said, if the Colts were in a similar situation to the Vikings, makes a lot more sense, but they're not. This is a team that has routinely the last 4 years missed the playoffs. This isn't a team that has a good defense right now. This isn't a team that has this, although I think they're solid. I don't think they don't have a number one Justin Jefferson top 5 type wide receiver right now. There's a lot of question marks, certainly a lot more than the Vikings right now. And this is a team that hasn't won in a long time. So to me, it wouldn't make a lot of sense right now. It's kind of like if you're where the Colts currently are, it's kind of like you need to ride or die with your quarterback. And if it doesn't work out, then you got to blow it up next year. I think that's where we're all coming to. And this would be the ultimate kind of like desperation move here by Chris Ballard if this did happen. And I just don't see it being a reality, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's just not. There's so many more cons to it than there is pros. So, again, that's just us reacting to that news, guys. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And I'm assuming I know the answer to most of you. But again, just wanted to kind of point it out. But thank you guys again so much for all the support. Greatly appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.